This is a super fast video for students who have missed class or just joining us, and you need to get set up really quickly for Arduino programming. So first thing you want to do is you want to set up your drive system, where you're going to store all of your code for the term or for the year. So I prefer OneDrive. It's great for storing things on the cloud, but it also allows you to store things on the hard drive in both places. And it's just a fantastic system. It's a Microsoft product, but it's available for both Mac and PC. Note all my little green checks here are both stored on the cloud and also stored in on my hard drive. So I would set up something like computer science or computer programming with Arduino or computer science topics like you see here, and I would just have a folder for each different language or each different class. However you set it up is up to you. Please do not store it to the desktop. Please do not store it to documents. And for goodness sakes, never ever store it into the applications folder. Don't store Word documents within the Word applications folder, ever. Don't ever do that. It's a huge no-no. That's a big no. Okay, so store it, make a folder, call it something, it doesn't matter what, and then this is where you're going to store all your code. If you have not done so already, you want to go to the internet, you want to do a search. If you're a Mac user, you want to do a search for Teensy Duino download, okay, and then just click, well, where did it go? It was the first link here. What happened here? Then you want to click on Teensy Duino, and for a Mac user, you want to install this. If you are a PC user, eventually you're going to install a Teensy Duino in our class, but not right now. If you're a PC user, do a search for Arduino download. Click on the first link and scroll down to download the Arduino IDE and use the Windows installer to do that. Okay. Once that's done, you can open the application up. It's called Teensy Duino or Arduino, and you'll get it like this. Okay, I'm going to maximize the screen so you can see, and I'll make the font a little bit bigger. I'm just scrolling with my mouse wheel by pressing the control key and pressing the control key. Arduino calls their programs sketches, and here the default name for this sketch is just the date, September 13th. Okay. We want to change that, we want to save it, but before we do that, we want to do a couple other things. We want to go to File and Preferences, and we want to set up the sketchbook location, the default location. So click the Browse button and go find the folder that you just created. Again, mine is on OneDrive. Yours can be anywhere it needs. You want it to be, but please, again, don't use the Applications folder. Next thing I would do is I would display the line numbers, which displays the lines over here, the lines of code. That's just helpful. And if you want to change the font size for the editor, you can do so here. Okay. The next thing I would do is I would make sure that you are got the right board selected. So click on Tools, move down to Board, and make sure that the board that you're using is the Arduino Uno. Later on, we'll use the Teensy 3.2, but for right now, we're going to use the Arduino Uno just because it's fast and simple. Okay. Next is you want to look at your port. So Tools and Port, and because you probably don't have your Arduino with you, this port is going to be grayed out, and even though I have an Arduino, it's not connected, so therefore it's gray. Let me pop over to my video to show you. So here's what the Arduino Uno looks like. Here's my programming cable and the USB in just as normal. And I'm just going to go ahead and plug that in now. You'll hear a little sound. Okay. And I guess we'll do this. And so if we go to Tools now, my port is connected, and you can see here it's checked. This is a PC, so it's really easy to see which COM port to use for a PC. If you're a Mac user, it's going to be much more difficult. You're going to want to look for some numbers, maybe a 5 or 6 digit number. There's going to be a bunch of COM ports, a bunch of serial ports. Look for the ones that say, it's going to be a series of 5 or 6 digits, and hopefully it says Arduino Uno. Make sure that's checked, and you should be good to go. All right. First thing I want to do is add some comments to the very top. to let me, as your teacher, and let other humans that are looking at your code know who you are and who did this. One way to write comments is with the double slash. This is the slash under the question mark, like you see here and like you see here. Another way to write comments is with a comment block, and that's with /*. And if you hit enter, it automatically ends it with a */ for you. So this begins the comment block and this ends the comment block. And in here, typically we want to know what the name of the code is. We haven't saved it yet, so let's do that now. So if you press the save button, it defaults to your default folder. I'm going to go into my Arduino programming and notice this is Blink, the program that we wrote in class on Saturday. And so here I'm going to call it Blink 2 for you guys. Okay. Notice my name has changed here. The name of the sketch has changed, so I'm going to call it Blink 2.ino. Okay, it stands for Arduino. That's the Arduino file. And then by, you, your name, and then the date. It's 9/13/20. Okay, and you can add other comments here as well. Anything you want to write to a human can come in the comment section. The computer completely ignores it. I want to call your attention to a couple things. There are two functions that are required for all Arduino sketches, all Arduino programs. The two functions are setup and loop. The word void is a way that in Java or C you can create a function. And this is what's called a void function, which means it returns no values. It just does something. So this function is called setup, and this function is called loop. Functions have these little parentheses. In this case, they're empty. We'll talk more about that pretty soon. But each function has to have a set of empty parentheses. At least has to have a set of parentheses at the end of each name, and then each function begins with a curly brace. So you've got a curly brace here to start it, pointing to the left, and a curly brace pointing to the right to end it. These form pairs, and if you click on one of the curly braces, its pair, its mate, would be highlighted in a box. Same is true here. Okay. The setup function is a function that runs once. The loop function is a function that runs forever, repeatedly. This is magic and I do not like it, but this is how Arduino has it set up, I think, to make it, in their minds, make it easy for people to write code. All right, the first thing you need to do in setup is what we're trying to do is we're trying to make this little onboard LED, this little tiny light right here, blink. So we have to set up that pin, and that LED is attached to pin 13. So we have to put that pin in the right mode. So we type in the words pin mode. Actually, it's one word. And notice that that M is capitalized. If you don't write it exactly like this, it will not turn red. And when it does turn red, it means you've typed it in properly. You want this pin mode has two arguments. So I'm going to open parentheses. Okay. And the first argument is the pin number, pin 13. This is the pin that's attached to the LED. And the second argument is a word that tells which direction the mode needs to be. In this case, it's output. And it has to be all caps. And as soon as you type it in, it will turn kind of a light blue color. Close your parentheses and notice that mate is also highlighted for you. It's kind of handy. And then to end that line of code, you need a semicolon. For Python users, of course, you don't. You're not familiar with, or you never had to use a semicolon to end your line of code. But with Teensy and with Arduino, you have to. This is C coding. All right, so we're done with setup. And we're going to come down here to loop. And what I want to do is I want to make a new command, digital write. And what this does is this sends a signal to a certain pin. Okay, and it can either be a high signal or a low signal. And with the Arduino Uno, that board, the highs are 5 volts and the lows are 3.3 volts. Okay? So we want to send a signal to pin 13 and we want it to be high. You could have also typed in the number 1 to be a high and 0 to be low, but high is usually what people write. close the parentheses to close the arguments, and then close with the semicolon there. Okay, and if we were to let's test this code now. So the one thing I'm going to do, the first thing I'm going to do is verify this. I'm going to run the code and make sure the code actually works. As soon as I press this button, I want you to look down here at the words here, and I want you to look over here at the progress bar. So here we go, verify, it's compiling the sketch, and look at the progress bar. When that is happening, you shouldn't do anything with the computer, okay? You could do things with the computer, but you don't want to press the verify button again, okay? You don't want to press the upload button. When it verifies, let it verify, let it do its thing, and then you can move on. All right, the next thing we want to do is go to upload. Remember, we've gone to tools, Arduino, and port, so all of those are connected properly. So now we can upload it. If we press the upload code or upload button, you'll see that the code goes through the wire into here, and then you'll see the little onboard LED light now is lit up. So there's your LED light, and it's lit up. It did exactly what we said it to do, told it to do. The next thing we want it to do is make it blink. Let's have it turn on and off. So we need another command. We need it to turn on for a certain amount of milliseconds. So here I'm going to delay 500 and maybe a nice little comment, just to remind us that that is in units of milliseconds. Okay, so we turn it high, we wait half a second, and then of course we need to turn it off. The easiest way to do that is to copy and paste. Okay, and this is low. We're going to turn this low. So if we upload the code, all right, what's happening here? It's running fine. We've done it. It's doing exactly what we told it to do. It's turning it high. Okay, it's making the light turn on. It's delaying. It's turning it off. But why is the light not turning off? It actually is turning it off, to be honest with you. You just can't see it. What happens when it's finished with line 15, it jumps to line 16 and there's nothing there, so it jumps to line 17. Line 17 is the very end of the loop function. And so when it gets to the end, it goes back to the loop. Remember, loop runs repeatedly. So then it runs lines 12, 13, and 14, and 15 again. So as soon as it goes low, the next command it does is goes high. So it goes low, high, really, really fast. So of course to fix that, you just need to copy that, and you need to paste that. For you Python users, you're probably all freaking out about these extra spaces. This runs fine. Can you see it blink now? Yeah. This runs fine on the Arduino. All right. But if you're worried about spaces, and I think everybody should be, you want to press Control T or Command T, or go to Tools and press the Auto Format, and this will tidy up your code. It's a really nice thing to do at the end. Okay, and what we did in class is we changed this. If we make this be 1,000 and 1,000, and then upload the code, you'll see it's on for 1 second and off for 1 second. And you could make this be 10 if you wanted to. At some point, yeah, it just doesn't look like it's blinking. If you shake it around, you can see it blinks. But at 10 milliseconds, it's hard for me to see that blink. Okay, so I'm going to take it back to 500. We only have another minute left, so I could press the upload button, or I could press Command U or Control U to upload the code. So now we're back to blink, blink, blink. It blinks rapidly. I want it to only blink once, so I only have a few seconds here. I'm going to cut this code out of the loop, and I'm going to put it here inside of the setup. Make sure it's inside the 2 curly braces. Now if I run the code, it blinked once. Did you see it blink 1 time? If I want it to blink 3 times, right? This is not the most efficient way to do it, but it's all we have time for right now. If I want it to blink 3 times, 1, 2, 3, and this is where we left off in class, and this is where I'm going to leave you here. Have a good day.